Hey guys, welcome to this channel. So in the earlier session we saw what is Amazon RDS and what is the difference between RDS read replicas and multi-AZ. So if you have not seen it yet, please go and see that first. And as you all know, in this session I'm going to give you full demonstration of Amazon RDS. Okay, so let's go ahead. As you can see, this is my management console, and now let's create a database with RDS. So RDS is going to be allowing us to get a managed database in the AWS cloud, and they get us a lot of goodness out of it because we don't have to manage the underlying server, and we get a lot of features such as backups, replicas, multi-AZ, and so on out of the box. So let's create a database, and as you can see in here, we have different options for creating a database. So we have the standard create to see all option and the easy create to go faster over it. But because we are learning AWS, let's go over the standard create option. So we have different engine types. We have Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. So Aurora we will see later on, and from these 5 engines you need to remember them all. So MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. But for this demo we are going to use MySQL. And then in terms of version, just choose whether is recommended here. Okay, so next one, MySQL, we have different option. So here are templates we can specify to meet our use case, which is going to be pre-filling some configuration parameter in here. So we have production, dev test, or free tier, and because we want to see all the options, I'm going to choose production, and we are going to choose in the option one by one, but we will make sure to choose an instance that is compliant with using the free tier of AWS RDS. Okay, so for production we need to specify a database identifier. So database 1 is great. Then we need to specify a master username. So admin is perfect. Then a master password, and I will enter password just to make it very simple. Okay, we are good to go. Then I will scroll down to database class. Here we can choose the type of instance we want. So we have standard classes, optimized, and burstable classes. And then you can choose the instance type, which is giving you a certain number of vCPU, RAM, as well as network speed. But we want to keep things in the free tier, so therefore let's go into burstable classes, and we need to include a previous generation and choose db2 micro. This is to make sure that you remain within the free tier of this hands-on. Next, for storage, we need to choose GP2, but we have different options. We have GP2, IO1, and magnetic. But to remain within the free tier yet again, we need to choose a general purpose SSD type. So GP2 is great with 20 GB of storage. Okay. Next, we have a very cool feature called storage auto scaling. So when we enable it, this provides dynamic scaling support for your database storage. So the more we use our storage, we close to 20 gigabytes, automatically the search will be increased by AWS without us doing anything. So this is again up/type of scaling, and we can specify a maximum storage threshold, for example 1000 gigabytes to 1 terabytes. This is very handy because we don't need to monitor the sort of size. We just know that it will automatically scale as the workload increase. Next, very important and cool, availability and durability. So we choose production templates, so it was enabled by default, but we can disable multi-AZ for this instance. So multi-AZ here is that if we did enable multi-AZ, we would get a standby instance for our RDS database, which is recommended for production usage, and this standby instance is going to be here for data redundancy in case you have IO freeze for backups and to minimize latency spikes during backups as well. So this is done by instance. It's not something that gets used by your application. It's something that is your here in case your main instance has an issue or a reboot or something like this. So for now we will disable multi-AZ, but this is where the setting would be. Next, for network setting, we launch it into RVPC. We have it when the specific certain group, and then we want public access. Yes, because we want to be able to connect to publicly to test our database in this hands-on. And VPC security group, we can create a new security group. I will call this one demo database MySQL. Okay, do we have a preference for AZ? No preference. And then the port is going to be the standard port of 3306. Next, for database authentication, we have three options. We have password authentication, password and IAM database authentication, and password and Kerberos authentications. So important to note the second option, to use IAM credentials to log into RDS. But to keep things simple, I'm just going to use password authentications for this hands-on. And then we have a lot of additional configuration. So we can first, for example, specify the initial database name. Okay, if not, then let's just specify MyDB. Some parameters groups which is out of scope for this, the backups. So do we want to have automatic backup? Yes, the backup retention period, so 7 days, but we can specify from 0 to 35 days. The backup window, so we could specify a specific window every day to backup, but no preference is fine. And hence monitoring, to get more metrics from your database. And do we want to export the logs into CloudWatch logs? We want to get the audit to the error, general or the slow query logs, the maintenance. So we want to enable auto minor version upgrades. Yes, as well as we want to specify the maintenance window for this. And do we want to enable deletion protection to prevent us from deleting the database accidentally? So I will keep this on. So again, this is estimated monthly cost, and so if we have chosen the T2 micro type of instance, this is within the free tier. Okay, but just so you know, you may have here some estimated monthly cost so as part of this UI. So when you are done, let's create this database. So while my database is being created, let's go ahead and download SQL Actron. And this is SQL client that we are going to use to connect to our database. So very simple, you are doing to click on download GUI and then click on it. Take the latest version for whatever platform you have. So you have latest Windows, So I'm going to do this one. Then simply we have to open it and install it and open. Okay, so my database is now created. It took a little bit of time, and now as you can see it is available. And so what I'm going to show you are a few options. So first of all, we have the endpoint right here and the port 3306, and it's linked to this security group. And this security group, if you click on it and look at the inbound rules, we can see that we have an inbound rule here on TCP port 3306. So that's great. Okay, coming from the just my IP address. Okay, so you should of course modify this security group if you have problem connecting to your database instance, to maybe have it to anywhere IPv4. Okay, so now let's take these endpoints and we are going to connect to it using SQL Actron. So using SQL Actron, I'm going to add a new database. I'll call it RDS demo. It's a database of type MySQL. And then for the server address, I'm going to enter what I have over here on port 3306. The user is admin and the password for me was password. And then the initial database is my DB as I entered it for before. Let's click on test, and the connection is successful. If it's not successful, please have a look whether or not your database was set to be public database number 1, and number 2, have a look at your security group setting to make sure that your IP is allowed in. So let's save this and connect to our database. And now I am connected to my database directly into my DB, which was the database that was I created. And in here I could go ahead and enter some create table statement. So create my table and then just name of varchar 20 and first name of varchar 20. So it's just a very quick statement just to show you how SQL works, but this is definitely out of scope for the exam. Execute this. So now we have my table that has been created, and then we don't have any content in it. Okay, but you could have an insert statement to insert some data into your table. So you would say, for example, enter the value Marek and then the value here Stefan. Execute this, and then if you click on select rows, then you can see that my table has my name and my first name to be Marek and Stefan. So this is how we would use the RDS in database with MySQL. But again, out of scope of the exam, I just want to show you the full picture of using SQL Actron. So back in here, my RDS database is fully managed. So this is great, we can use it. Other things we can do that are worthy are to create a replica directly from the database. So we can create a replica, and then this replica would allow us to have more read capacity for our database, which will be very helpful. And do we want with our note that database should be multi-AZ for recovery purpose? So I'll keep it as no and cancel it. Next, we can have a look at monitoring. And monitoring, for example, we could trust its CPU utilization, and we can see while the CPU utilization is monitored by my database. And we can monitor this, for example, for scaling our database. If in case we have to make many connection into it. We can have a look at database connection counts as well to see how many clients are connected into our database and a lot of metrics overall. Okay. Other things you can do with RDS is around creating snapshots. So you can take snapshot and this will snapshot your database and you can restore it whenever you want. You can restore to a point in time for your database, or you can even migrate a snapshot if you want to migrate a snapshot into a different region, for example. So all of these are bunch of options that we can use, but as you can see, the whole power of RDS is to manage the database for us to have replica as multi-AZ. We can increase the instance type as we go along and so on, and that's all come very handy from managed service perspective. So you have seen all you need to know for your RDS database. I hope you like it. And just to finish yourself, please make sure to delete the database. To delete it, first you need to remove the termination protection. So you go to modify and then at the very bottom you will scroll down and find the delete protection setting. So here it is. We will disable it, press and continue, and then apply immediately. And then once the delete protection is done, you can go ahead and delete this database. You can remove, creating a final snapshot, and then say delete me, an acknowledgement fact that upon deletion everything will be lost. Click on delete and you are good to go. So that's it for this lecture. I hope you like it and I will see you in the next lecture. So if you found this video helpful, then share this video to your friend and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching. Bye and have a nice day.